Welcome back to Nano Education. In this video, we'll be covering Express.js, which is a JavaScript framework. Well, let's see what else it is besides me telling you. Why shall we not read it? What is Express.js? So Express.js is a Node.js framework that is used to create web applications and APIs. So a common question I get is that Node.js is the backend. Or why am I drawing that? It's the back end behind everything. Browser.js is the front end, right? That is what the user sees, right? So that would be like your buttons and everything. And on the other hand, Node.js is the back end. So this is where the zeros and one occur, right? Not zeros and one like your JavaScript code run, but technically machine code is running when you're running this, alright? So let's go talk about the setup for an Express.js app. So first of all, we'll need to install some dependencies. So the obvious one we'll need is Express.js, right? This is our main one. This is the main one we'll be using. And we'll also be needing NodeMon. Now, what is NodeMon? So let's just say that you were to run node app.js, right? And once I make a change, right? Let's just say I add a line. I add something, right? I have to Control C out the environment. Then I have to rerun the command, right? But with NodeMon, it doesn't do that. Instead, all we do is do NodeMon and then app.js, and obviously you'll be including this in your package.json. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. We'll look at it together. Right, that's what you run, and every time I make a change, like I change something, like I do an addition, it reruns the command automatically for me, so I don't have to do it. So let's talk about the Express.js template. So just like Electron.js, we have a base template for Express. But there are a couple of templates that you will need to know also. So the first one you'll be needing is the base template, which is easy as cake. Trust me, it is. Then we have the route template, then the middleware. So the middleware template is very short, right? The route template is pretty okay in size. And the base template is so easy, you might as well cry. Trust me, it's easy peasy as lemon squeezy. Alright, trust me, it is. And that's it. That's the base template. I told you, it's literally repetition. You will literally remember this. Alright, well, what can we see? Well, we're assigning a variable const of Express to what content? Well, we're assigning it to require Express, which we're taking this request and asking, hey, find Express. Alright, that's all we're doing, really. And then we're just taking this const, alright, we're assigning a variable of app to Express. We're basically running this function, right? We're just telling this function to be assigned to that. We're not running it, we're just assigning it. That's what a variable is, assignment, not running. Alright, do not mess that up. And then we're just doing an app, so we're running the app on that, and running a listen 3000, which we'll learn what that means. So, just like I told you, this basically brings in Express from an Express package, right, and it assigns it a variable of Express to make our life easier. Now that is very similar to import Express from Express, but since Node.js still doesn't have the import statement, why don't they bring it? I am so angry. And that's why I can't write import, because they haven't brought it yet. If they don't have that yet, that is not a very good thing. They should bring that over, because it will make our lives so much easier. Be using a require, right? Using a require, putting parentheses, that takes a long time. It's so much smoother just writing quotes. Like literally, how easy is this? It literally feels like English. Import Express from Express. That is so simple. But they haven't brought it. Boy. Alright, then we have const app is equal to Express. So basically, we're just assigning this app method, right, onto this Express. Or we're assigning Express to app. There we go, that makes more sense. So, instead of running like express.method, we're running app.method, which sounds a lot more simpler. doesn't it? That is more simple. And in terms of like developers, I'm pretty sure they will prefer this as well. All high developers. No one, you should not be writing literally repetition for every method you're going to assign to Express. You shouldn't be doing that. Instead, you should be assigning it to a variable called app, which is much more efficient. And if you can go even deeper, like if you can make this more simpler, which is even better. Simpler the better. Or come up with an algorithm to do the work for you. Let's talk about app.listen. This is something that we did not understand. Or we're a little confused on. So this is the thing that starts up our Express server, like I mentioned. So I did not mention this. So it's Express, you can start up HTTP servers. This is a basic template to start up a server, what I've been talking about, alright? So this is the listen function that's being called on the app object, which is basically the Express function. Alright, remember that? That const app is equal to something. Remember that? Well, that's exactly what this is. So the listen function takes 2 parameters, but we're only assigning 1 right now. Clearly, we can see that we only have 3,000. We don't have anything else. But once we do, you'll learn that. So the other is to do what to do when the function is ran. Alright? So this is what basically it is. So let's just say, this is what I'm basically saying. Hey app, once I run the function, listen on port 3000 and run this function as soon as you do. Once you have done that, run this, alright? So which is basically telling console, log this statement on there, which is server starting at port 3000, alright? How simple is code? It's like reading English. Only if it was English. Alright? Then, there we go. So let's look at our previous example once again. It's pretty tiny. But, in the port number, right here, this port number, I was inserting it statically, but not dynamically, right? So let's just say we were to change the port number to, let's just say 4000, and I forget to change this, well, my console is going to say 3000, and I'm going to think it's on 3000, so when I visit localhost 3000 or whatever, it's not going to work. I usually read a console, alright? So, instead, what we can do is assign a variable to the port value. So I could have said port is equal to 3000, right? As a string. I could have said that. Pass it in, run the function, and then use template literals. Remember what template literals were, right? Those allowed you to have these $sign in the variable name inside. How simple is that? Alright? Now, we've been using functions, normal function syntax, but we can actually use arrow functions to clean up our code, right? So if we look at the arrow function, app.listen port, right? So basically, we're doing the exact same thing. We're passing in port, the port number, as a parameter. Then we're telling run the function, right? So we're going to run this function right here, which is basically passing in port, right? Very similar to the last one, except for the fact we don't have the function keyword. That's all we don't have. Otherwise, we have everything else. So let's talk about routes. Now, we haven't created a single route yet. Now, what do you think will happen when we visit a site? Well, if we were to visit our server once we run it, what we would actually get, so if you were to actually run it, if you were following along, and you were to run the command, you would actually get cannot find /get, something similar to this, alright? So it cannot find this. Well, let's locate this that I created right here. That's where it is found. So this is a base template for a route in Express. We're telling the app method, which is the Express, .get, alright? So when I say .get, basically, telling it, hey, whenever you see this slash, alright, I want you to pass in request and response, and then send something hello world. So the link, let's just say you were to, so this right here is besides defining the link that you'll be going to. So let's just say the link you want to go to is localhost 3000/about. That is exactly what you will be doing. Now, what does that slash mean? Basically, that's the index route. The route where you go, where you type nothing extra. For example, google.com, I have nothing else passed in after that. Alright? So I have nothing else past extra. Everything is just fine as normal. Alright, so right here, nothing. I literally put nothing. Alright, what is res.send? So what is res first? If we don't know what res is, how can we figure out what send is? Right? You can't do something to a function unless you don't know what the function does. So res is a response. So we're basically taking the response from the browser and sending it whatever is inside. Alright? So we can write in HTML inside the res.send, but you should only be using it for testing purposes or just starting with boilerplate. Do not use it for development, kiddos. Most of the time, we will be passing a different command to display a web page, covered in the next part. Right? So basically, inside of res.send, let me try to demonstrate this. Hold it. Let's use res dot send. We open our parentheses, and we can put an HTML. So I could have put quotations first. I can go ahead and write like H1, H, literally write the word H, and then close my H1 tags. Alright? That is what res.send is basically doing here. It's basically assigning this res thing a function of send, sending it to the browser. So basically taking our response and sending it to the browser back. So basically, let me show you like this. We get something, we tell it, take something, or hoping to see over the text, send it back to it. Alright, I don't want it anymore. That's what basically you're doing. So we can actually create multiple routes. So no one is blocking you from having 100 different routes. Who cares if you have 1,000,000? As long as your computer can handle it, alright? And your browser doesn't crash. Or your code doesn't crash. As long as you're not being like a complete, like, you know, stupidity of where you have like 1,000,000 routes are the exact same thing. Don't do that. Have different routes. Alright, so we have some examples here. This is the index route, right? This is the about. So we're going to slash about. When we go there, we're going to send something called about page, alright? When we go to slash services, we're going to send something called the services page. And now we can actually nest routes inside of routes. So we're going to say, hey, when we go to services /1, so inside these services, I want you to go to 1, going to send services 1 page. So now what we will also learn, so do not get confused by what I'm about to write, is we can do this. So we can select services /:id. So we can actually just pass in a custom one, and then we'll just like run an if statement, right? And whatever's inside of it, alright? So whatever's inside the if statement, let's just say we pass in 2, right? So if 2 matches, load some certain data based on that. So we won't have to be running dynamic content. Instead, we'll just pass it in. So let's go expand on the port, alright? I know we haven't coded yet, but don't worry, we're getting there. We want to deploy, let's just say we want to deploy our app to Heroku, which is the app platform we'll be using, alright? They have their own port specified. So how do we let them change it or use theirs, alright? So that is when we'll be adding a .env file. Basically, they will add this file, the .env, right, to our project file. So project, alright, they'll just add it to us. So which will contain data, but how do we access the data? That's our main question here. So to just access it, we just use a command called process.env.port. Simple enough, right? Don't know a thing and just using it. Well, don't worry. So basically checks the process, which then checks the env file inside of it and finds the port number inside of it. That's what the dots mean. So you're going to go check the process, check the env, and try to find the port number. Alright, make sure you know where the port number is located. So just gonna find it. But then let's just say it doesn't find a port number. Well, we wanted to use 3000, so we'll just use these pipe characters, which will act as the word or, right, inside. So there was no, just use 3000. That's why we're passing in port dynamically both here. So if we were to use Heroku or something, we'll have correct data to look at. Now let's go look at our client's task. Right, we'll be coding this from the beginning. So if you just want to see the code, this is the perfect place to be. So here's the letter. I'm just going to quickly read through it. I have a special task for you. I know how much you enjoy Express. Help me create an application. I want an application that can load so we'll highlight all the important facts, load the index route, displays the word home, contact page, big heading with the words contact page. Also, I'm planning on deploying this app to Heroku. Alright? We'll start decoding these requirements when we get to our code editor. So, I'll see you guys at my code editor. Alright, so I'm going to focus on this letter and figure out our requirement. You'll be faced with these type of letters. So, let's go and type up our requirements. So, the first thing we need is an Express application, which is pretty obvious. That's what we're learning. Then we need to create an application that will load the index route and display the words home. So I'll say index route equals home displayed. Alright, and we'll be using the slash route. Alright, so we'll just put it like that so we know exactly what to do. Then we also want the contact route, which should equal contact page, and then displayed. And it should, apparently she didn't tell us what she wanted, or he didn't tell us. So we're going to say contact, alright? I'm not using semicolons and notes. And we want the heading of contact page to be an H1. So we just put an H1 in front of it. And they want to plan on deploy this site to Heroku. So plan Heroku, which basically will mean, the process.env.port or 3000, right? 3000, there we go, which will be a variable. Alright, so now that we have got our remote requirements, let's go ahead and start coding. So inside the production folder, or any of your folders, let's go and just run npm init -y, and then npm install express node mon. Alright? And I'm going to do that with sudo. I'm going to type in my password again and quickly let it install. Alright? And I'm going to talk to you guys about this. So the reason we're using a letter is because you'll be faced with these type of letters, similar ones, or maybe even better ones, more detailed. This is very basic, as you're working throughout coding. So you might actually receive these type of letters for the type of apps you'll be creating. Alright, now this is done, we just go ahead and visit our package.json. Our start script should just be node app.js. Alright, so instead of node, we want node mon, because that will allow us to do live reloading. So let's go to X out of our package.json, and inside of our production, we want to create an app.js. Let's go start with bringing on Express and setting it to require Express. Alright? Then we'll set const app is equal to Express. So the basically Express function. Then we're going to do now it's going to set a port variable. So let port equal to process.env.port or 3000. Alright, then we're going to do app.listen, which is the function that we're running. And we'll tell it pass in port, or, hold it, or we're going to run it, and then we're going to run an arrow function, which will basically console.log, tab literal, server started on $port. Alright, we just started our server. So now we can go ahead and run npm start, that's the script we name, and node mon started on 3000, localhost 3000. Cannot get slash, alright? That's the error I was talking about earlier. So now what we want to go and do is create our route. So let's do app.get, and we're going to create our index route, alright? And we want to press a response and request, right, in any order. And we're going to run our function, which is an arrow function. Alright, inside of this, let's just do a res.send. Alright, so res.send of test. Hopefully this is right code. Yes, it is. Refresh. Type error, res.send is not a function because it's not res.send. So the error turned out to be that we have to put request before response. Once you do that, it should display it correctly. Now we can just put home in here according to requirements. Then we just do app.get, do the slash contact. Then we'll do our request response. And then we'll just we'll just do a quick res.send. And we'll send contact. Well, let's send contact page in H1. So contact page. There we go. Now when we send slash contact, we get contact page. Alright, so this is how you create an Express app with meeting 5 requirements in under 17 lines of code. So I hope you guys learned a lot. Actually, not 17. Just squishing this will just give you a lot of room. So about 12 lines of code. And the letter itself is 12. What a magic trick. Alright, so I'll see you guys on the next